I have a simple question for you. What's the rush? You may not think about this very much, but I sort of wanted to talk about this today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Tuesday, the 7th of September of 2021. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. And again, the subject for today is what's the rush? That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes. There's an adage and a meme, that is one that was created before memes were really a thing. I'd like to cite today. The saying is, haste makes waste. The meme would be, failure to plan on your part doesn't constitute a priority on mine. This, by the way, was over a pickup and delivery section in the military many years ago, over the doorway. Though it's a hard thing to do, I work hard to keep these two ideas pretty much central to how I act. I know it'll mean people doing things like driving around me will want to push by at great rates of speed. I'm also aware that people trying to rush through things to make it quick and cheap is part of the reason for the ever greater waste we see at present. Got some issues with my notes. You'll have to excuse me this morning. That's on top of the fact that if one's not careful, he or she will buy various things only to need them again a very short time later. You see, fast and inexpensive tends to be synonymous with some other words, namely expendable and short-lived. Rushing is bound to cause two major problems. The first is an increase in errors made. The second, shoddy, low-quality work. The latter can be distinguished from the former by the fact that it's typically intentional and in that sense worse. You may think rushing from the cradle to the grave is a grand idea. Let me just make it clear, as someone who's lived a year or two, as only someone who's lived a year or two can, it's definitely not all it's cracked up to be. I know, I'm tired, I just want to go home. This and a million other things drive folks. Can I humbly suggest, slow down, enjoy the travel. It's your choice to try and make the better, it's your choice. I try to make the better one, in my opinion, on a daily basis. It is my opinion that it's the better choice. That's what I'm trying to say there. Look, I get that you think it makes sense to do things like travel down the road at massive rates of speed. Let me just make something perfectly plain to you, okay? You may think that's true. Excuse me, I'm going to use a graphic and I wanted to kind of have it all set up here. You may think that's true, okay? But you need to be totally aware that you're doing things that are absolutely ridiculous in the name of what you're doing. So let me put up this first graphic. This is a chart of how long it takes for you to travel 15 miles at different rates of speed. Okay? We go from 30 to 60 miles an hour, and we go in 5-mile increments. And you can see that if you go half again, so 45 miles an hour, so 15 miles an hour more, the speed limit, if it's 30 miles an hour, you shave 10 minutes off your time. If you can go double the speed limit, you shave half of the time off. You're still only shaving 15 minutes off of a 15-mile drive. Okay? These times are easy to calculate. Any bonehead can do it. I prove it because I'm a bonehead and I've done it. Okay? Now we're going to drop that and we're going to put up this other screenshot, and this one is the same thing except it's for 7.5 miles, which is probably more like what the average person drives, particularly if they're only going 30 miles an hour. Now you'll notice you can only shave 5 minutes off your travel time if you half again increase your speed, so you go from 30 to 45. And if you go to 60, you can shave half the time off again. And this is obvious because 30 is half of 60. Right, so 60 is double, so the time taken would be half. The point is, initially, you would have taken 15 minutes, you'd only take 7. I don't know how to say this enough. If you honestly think that a 7.5 minute difference in time is so great that you need to go 60 miles an hour in a 30 to get that kind of distance, you are out of your tiny mind. Even if you can bring it down to 10 minutes from 15. And there's this interesting idea that a lot of people don't even consider. If you're in a space that's 30 miles an hour, you probably got stop signs, stop lines, lights, yield signs, and various other things that are going to make it so that the speed differential or the time differential is not even as great as the one that you see here. It probably won't be as big a difference. And that's particularly true if you can actually learn to get off lights and signs, right? That is to say, if you can move when the light changes, or move when you're done with your stop, or whatever it happens to be. If you can do that, the chances are pretty good the differences between the speeds that you're going are going to be less. The time that it's going to take you to go at specific speed are going to be less, even if you go at tremendously high speeds by comparison to the one you're supposed to go. Now, obviously, this is one of just a million examples, a bunch of examples of ways that you can waste your time thinking that you're accomplishing something in the meantime. Okay, I was driving on highways just yesterday, and I had any number of people who passed me, and then somewhere down the roadway I'd pass them, or somebody I would be passing somebody, so I'd be in the left lane on a 2-lane highway, two lane going the same direction, 4 total lanes, and the person would try to pull up and around me when they knew there was no way at the rate I was traveling that there was any way that they were going to squeeze in between me and the other person. And sometimes they literally got stuck behind the person that I was passing going the speed limit. But like I say, there's any number of other ways. So you make shoes for a living. So you make cheap and quick shoes. How long are they going to last? Almost no time at all. So you make clothes, the same thing. Houses. Oh my goodness, what a bad idea. Let's make a cheap and shoddy house. There's a way to make sure that you're going to have people buying new houses. And that's about the only thing that does. It's not beneficial to anyone to do that as a rule. Because the thing about it is, if anything, you're decreasing the quality of their life. If there's any kind of person I consider a thief, it's a person who intentionally makes things that are going to wear out in a very short period of time, particularly the older people get. Look, when a person's young, they're going to wear things out anyway. We know that. Even so, making something that wears out in a year or 2 years so that they can't hand it down to someone else is really pretty lame and not all that acceptable in my mind. And this is why when I look for clothing and so forth, I'm willing to pay more because as a rule, that way hopefully it'll be better quality merchandise and I'll keep it for longer. All right, and so this is what I do. But the point I'm making here is if you're in such a rush that in your mind it's reasonable for you to go 700 miles an hour down the roadway or produce things that are really low quality and really weak things, I'm sorry that you feel that that's appropriate. And if you can't live your life periodically stopping for a second truly to smell the flowers or look at the sky or whatever it happens to be, breathe in a few breaths, then I really feel bad for you. And not only that, but I feel bad for the people that you're around because you're pushing them in just the same way that you're pushing yourself. There's virtually no way around that I can imagine. I urge you, I adjure you, I ask you earnestly to really think whether the rush that you find yourself in is reasonable. I honestly ask you to do this. It's not reasonable to do that. I get that you think that you're getting things done. What you don't understand is 80% of the time you're doing things in such a way that somebody else is going to have to fix what you messed up later. If they can. There are times they just won't be able to. The quote fix will be to buy something new to replace what it is that you made shoddily. Okay? I'm just saying, please don't think that life should be lived running. That's not an appropriate thing. It's not proper and you shouldn't do it. All right, I need to go ahead and wrap this up now. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Tuesday, the 7th of September of 2021. It means tomorrow will be Wednesday, the 8th of September of 2021. Thank you for everybody who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and YouTube, and on YouTube. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a plus or a positive Rumble on Rumble. You can give me a minus or a negative Rumble on Rumble if you feel the need to do that. You can give me a thumbs up or a like or a thumbs down or a dislike dislike on YouTube if you decide that that's something that you need to do. I would love for people to leave me comments on either Rumble or YouTube. Hope everything is going well for you today. The subject has been What's the Rush, by the way. Hope everything is going well for you today. And it is Tuesday, which for a lot of people is that first day work after the 3-day weekend. And hopefully we will see you again on Wednesday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Tuesday, September 7th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S. .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.